In the heart of the city, nestled between towering skyscrapers, there was an old apartment building with a dark secret. Apartment 4B had been vacant for years. The landlord always said it was under renovation, but the truth was far more sinister. When Mia moved into the building, she was drawn to the mystery of 4B. The door was always locked, the windows covered with thick black curtains. The other tenants avoided it, whispering about strange noises and flickering lights. But Mia was curious, too curious. One night, after a long shift at work, she heard it, a faint, rhythmic knocking coming from 4B. It wasn't loud, but it was persistent, like someone tapping on the other side of the door. "Hello," Mia called out, her voice echoing in the empty hallway. The knocking stopped. She hesitated, then reached for the doorknob. To her surprise, it turned easily, the lock clicking open. The door creaked open on its own, revealing a dark, dusty room. The air inside was cold, and the walls were covered in strange symbols, crude, jagged lines that seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light. In the center of the room was a single chair, facing away from the door. Mia stepped inside, her heart pounding. "Is anyone here?" The door slammed shut behind her. She spun around, fumbling for the doorknob, but it was gone. The walls seemed to close in, the symbols glowing brighter, casting an eerie green light. The chair began to creak, slowly turning toward her. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she saw what or who was sitting in it. It was her. The figure had her face, her hair, her clothes, but its eyes were hollow, its mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. It stood, its movements jerky and unnatural, and began to walk toward her. Mia screamed, pounding on the walls, but the room seemed to stretch endlessly, the door nowhere to be found. The doppelganger reached for her, its cold fingers brushing her skin. And then, everything went black. When the other tenants found Mia the next morning, she was sitting in the chair, her eyes wide and unseeing. The room was empty, the symbols gone, the door locked once more. But if you listen closely at night, you can still hear the knocking. And if you're foolish enough to open the door, you might find yourself face to face with something you'll never escape.